Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to learn about simple and compound interest. Have you ever wondered how your money can grow over time? Well, in this tutorial, we'll break down the basics of simple and compound interest and show you how to calculate both in just a few easy steps. So by the end of this video, you'll be an expert. So let's get started. So let's start with simple interest. Simple interest is when we increase the original value by the same percentage over and over again. So you don't get interest on top of your interest, only on the original amount. So for example, if you have £100 in your bank account and get 3% simple interest each year, then you get £3 in your bank each year because 3% of £100 is £3. Okay? So the interest you earn each year remains at £3 and doesn't increase. So after the first year, you have £103. After the second year, you have £106. After the third year, you have £109, and so on. Okay? On the other hand, compound interest is when you take the original value and increase it by a percentage. So in a specified time period, you'll take this new value and increase it by the same percentage again and again. You get interest on top of your interest. Okay? This is the formula to work out compound growth and decay. You can substitute values into this formula to work out how much you will make at the end of a specified time period. So, to work this out, you have your original amount, which is N0, multiplied by 1 plus or minus. So, plus is if it's growth and minus is if it's decay, percentage over 100, and N is the number of periods. So, the amount of time that you have kept this amount of money in the bank. So, it could be days, it could be years, it could be months, for example. Okay? So, for example, if you have a bank account, again, going back to the previous example, containing £100 and it gets 3% compound interest, how much would be in the account after 4 years, for example? So, in the first year, again, 3% on top of £100 is £103. And then in the second year, 3% on top of £103 now is £106 and 9 pence, and so on. So to find compound growth after a specific number of years, so in this case 4 years, we can substitute all the values into the compound growth and decay formula. Okay? So to work out how much money you would have in the bank after 4 years, you do £100, which is your initial amount, multiplied by 1 plus, because it's compound interest, you're growing your money, 3% divided by 100, and your N in this case will be 4. So your total amount at the end of 4 years will give you £112 and 55 pence. Okay? So compound decay works in the same way as compound interest, but instead of adding, you minus, as I mentioned before. So for example, if you have a car bought for £15,000 and it depreciates at 5% per year, what would the value of the car be after 5 years? So all we need to do is input this into the formula. So N equals £15,000 times 1 minus, because it's decay this time, 5% over 100, and N will be 5. So at the end of the 5 years, the car will now be worth £11,606 and 71 pence. Okay, so let's try a few examples. So the first question is, as a percentage, what is the overall decrease in the value of a property that was purchased for £850,000 if it decreased in value by 6% for the first 3 years and then by 4% for the following 2 years? Give your answer to the nearest whole percentage. So here you can pause the video, have a go for yourself, and then press play and we'll go over the answer together. Okay? So what I found really useful when answering questions like these and really wordy questions is to highlight the most important bits. So the first bit that I would highlight is that the property price is £850,000. Okay. The next bit is that it decreased in value. So we need to know that the property price is going to be lower than what it started with. And then 6% for the first 3 years, and then 4% for the following 2 years. The other important point to highlight in a question is the form that they want you to give the answer in. So in this case, they want you to give your answer to the nearest whole percentage. Now, this is quite important because you would always get a mark for giving the answer in the form that they want. Okay? So in order to solve this question, we need to work out the value of the property after 3 years and then after 5 years. So since in the first 3 years, the property decreased at a rate of 6% every year, this means that the property is worth 94% of what it was worth at the start of the year, because 100% take away 6% is 94%. So we need to multiply the original value, which is £850,000, by 0.94, because 0.94 is the multiplier. So to work out 0.94, all you need to do is 94 divided by 100. And then you multiply that 3 times. So your answer will be £850,000 multiplied by 0.94 to the power of 3, which gives you an answer of £705,996.40. Okay, so that would be your answer after the first 3 years. Now, for the subsequent 2 years, the property continues to decrease in value, but not at 6%, at 4%. So at the end of each year, the property is worth 96% now, because 100 take away 4 is 96. So again, 96% as a multiplier is 0.96. So we need to multiply the value of the house, which we got in the previous answer, at the end of the first 3 years by 0.96 twice. So £705,996.40 multiplied by 0.96 squared equals to £650,646.28. Okay, so that's the value of the property after 5 years. So if the original value of the house was £850,000, to work out the overall percentage decrease in value, we need to work out the difference between the original value and the new value after 5 years, and work this out as a percentage of the original value. So if you haven't looked at the percentage video already, have a look at the percentage video. This gives you an idea of how to work out percentage change. So you start off with the original amount, £850,000, minus your new value, which is £650,646.28. Divide that by your original value, which was £850,000, and multiply that by 100 to give you a percentage. And your answer will be 23% to the nearest whole number. I hope you understood the question. And if you have any questions, just drop a comment below or message me and I can go through them with you. So the next question is a bit harder. So a speedboat purchased for £36,000 depreciates by X% each year. If after 3 years the speedboat has a value of £15,187.50, what is the value of the speedboat to the nearest pound after 5 years? Now, this question is a bit harder than the other one, so take your time and answer it. Again, try and highlight all of the important points in the question and see how you get on. And then we'll go over it together. Okay, so to answer this question, again, I will start by highlighting all the important bits. So the original price of the speedboat was £36,000. It depreciated by X% each year. So this time they haven't told us how much it's decreased by. And then after 3 years, the speedboat had a value of £15,187.50. And we need to give the answer to the nearest pound after 5 years. Okay? So in most questions of this type, usually we have a starting value and we multiply by the multiplier like we did in the previous questions to give you the final value. However, this one's a bit different because we have the final value and not the percentage multiplier. So we need to do some rearranging. So we need to consider what we would normally do to the percentage multiplier for a compound percentage change over a 3-year period. So if a value is being decreased by X% each year, then for 3 years, we would multiply the starting value by X to the power of 3. So to rearrange this, we would write it out as £36,000 multiplied by X to the power of 3 equals to the final value of £15,187.50. So we would rearrange this to work out X cubed, which will be £15,187.50 over £36,000. And when we put this in the calculator, X cubed will give us 0.422. And to work out X, you would cube root the other side of the question. So that's a key rule to always know when you're rearranging any question. If you have X cubed, X squared or anything, and you want to get rid of the squared, all you have to do is square root or cube root the other side of the question, other side of the equal sign, okay? So in this case, X will equal to the cube root of 0.422, which will give you an answer of 0.75. So the multiplier in our equation now will be 0.75. So what does this mean in terms of percentage increase or decrease? So since a value is less than 1, we know that it's a decrease and not an increase. So we know that we've worked out the right multiplier, okay? So 0.75 is the multiplier for 75%. So if we are working out 75% of an amount, then this means that the amount is reducing in value by 25%. Because remember, the total percentage, your total amount will always equal 100%. So the speedboat is depreciating at a rate of 25% per year. So now we know what the depreciation rate is. We can work out the value of the speedboat after 5 years. So we know that the value of the speedboat after 3 years is £15,187.50. So if it depreciates by 25% for another 2 years, then we can work out the question like we did for the previous question. So 100 minus 25 gives us 75%, and the multiplier is 0.75, as I mentioned before. So the cost of the speedboat after 3 years is £15,187.50. Multiply that by 0.75, which is your multiplier, and for the final 2 years. So it'll be 0.75 squared, which will give you an answer of £8,543 to the nearest pound. Okay, so I know this question was a little bit more difficult than the previous one, but again, if you have any question, then just drop a comment below or message me and we can go through it together. Okay, so thank you for joining me today to learn about simple and compound interest. I hope you found the examples and explanations helpful. Feel free to drop a comment below if you need any further clarification. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any future lessons. See you next time.